Oh, no, yes.
Good evening and welcome to the July 6th reorganizational business meeting of the Hampton-based Board of Education. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. Our first order of business is the appointment of clerk pro tempore. Be it resolved that the Board of Education appoints Christine Mandel as clerk pro tempore to reside until the election and seating of the president. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Would everyone please stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note the marked emergency exits in front and back of the room. The next order of business is to administer the oath of office for our newly elected board members, Mrs. Elena Costello. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Liz Sully,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties
of
trustee of the Hampton-based Board of Education
trustee of the Hampton-based Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
And I sign.
Use your kindergartners.
Our next order of business is the nomination and election of the president of the board for the 21-22 school year. Can I please have nominations?
Somebody has to nominate.
Nominate lovely Mr. Kevin Springer.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, then I need a motion to appoint Kevin Springer as president of the Board of Education. Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I will now administer the oath of office to Mr. Springer. Please stand and raise your right hand. I, Kevin Springer,
I, Kevin Springer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
the
the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the President of the Hampton-based Board
the
of
duties of the
Education
President of the Hampton-based Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities. Right? Yes.
Yes.
That's okay.
And congratulations,
Thank you.
Mr. President. You may now.
I may take over. Thanks. She was waiting for that. Okay, I will need a nomination for the selection of the Vice President of the Board of Education for 21-22 school year. Rich Johnson.
I'd like to nominate Rich Joslin.
Okay. I will second that. favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Mr. Joslin is not with us tonight, though.
I think he seconded the motion.
What's that?
He seconded, but I don't know who first. But that was the nomination.
Okay, we'll do the appointment of the clerk of the Board of Education. Be it resolved that Christine Pandolfo be appointed clerk of the Board of Education for the 2021-2022 school year. The president will administer the oath of office.
You can state it.
I, Christina Pandolfo,
Solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
District Clerk of the Hampton Board of Education.
District Clerk of the Hampton Board of Education.
Sometimes the charm.
She's excited about this.
She is. She was
The first step.
She is excited.
Okay, we move on to the oath of office for the superintendent of schools, Mr. Lars Clemens. Clerk of the board will administer the oath of faithful performance for the superintendent.
I, Lars Clemens, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of according to the best of my
Better by now. Good, Christine? Okay. Be resolved that the Board of Education makes the following appointments for the 2021-22 school year. District Treasurer David O'Connor, Deputy Treasurer Richard Joslin, Signatory in absence of Treasurer. Oh, that can't be the same, though.
It can be. It can be deputy treasurer and is
Oh, well.
deputy to the treasurer, and then the signatory in the absence of the treasurer can be the same person.
Okay, Richard Joslin, Internal Claims Auditor Paul
Nikolowski.
Okay. Let's see, what we got here. Appointment of other office district officers. Be it resolved that the Board of Education makes the following appointments for the 2021-22 school year. Other appointees, authorized signature for extracurricular accounts, People's United Bank, Dawn Ling, Christopher Richard, Dennis Shug, Mark Meyer, Richard Joslin, BOE Vice President, and Kevin Springer, Board of Ed President. Do we do a motion on each one of these?
You can consent each section.
Right.
So you can do that one, and then you could do
Right, so
4C.
I need a motion for those.
Motion?
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, so now we're going to do a consent agenda from 4C to 4E. I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
5A through 5M.
Consent agenda from 5A to 5N. We'll need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Yes. Missed the page here. Yep. A consent agenda from 6A to 6H. I need a motion.
Motion?
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then we will do a 7A to 7B. I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment. Persons may address the Board of Education on any matters of interest or concern. The board president will recognize all speakers. Time limits may be imposed based upon agenda needs. I don't think we have anybody, so, and we're not doing online, so that's good. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn the reorganizational meeting.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, now on to the good stuff. Okay, welcome to the July 6, 2021 business meeting of the Board of Education. I need a motion to call the meeting to order, please.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is open. We have to do the pledge again, or was it considered part now, right? Okay.
I think we're okay.
Announcement of emergency exits as before. We have the rear and in the front as marked. I need a motion for the approval of order of agenda.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, and we will go to our new clerk, Christine Pandolfi. I need a motion.
Motion.
I need second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, there's no public comment. Okay, that will lead us to Mr. Oh, there he is. Look down there, you were gone. Mr. Clemenson.
I was creeping up closer and closer.
Oh, yeah, geez.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the new school year. So the new year celebration is July 1st for school districts. I just want to grab my notes. Thank you. Tonight's conversation in my board report is primarily focused on the federal stimulus funding plan and the proposal that we're going to make to spend federal stimulus money from the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act and the American Rescue Plan Act, which were passed by the United States Congress in December and March of this school year. But just a couple of other quick updates on where we are this summer. You can see that we're back in public. The executive orders and the emergency powers ended in New York State on June 24th at midnight, meaning that the allowance to have virtual board meetings ended at midnight on June 24th. So we have been meeting in person, but we have been allowing public participation via live stream, which we will not be doing anymore. So we will continue to live stream, so some good things come out of coronavirus pandemic era, and one of those was live streaming with our tech team, who's been remarkable in bringing that through YouTube, and we've had some good participation, people watching either live or the recorded videos of the board meetings. Public participation will still need to take place in public, though. So if somebody wanted to participate, ask questions, engage with the board, they would need to come here and sit in any one of these chairs that we have set up. Mask guidance in the summer continues to be the guidance that we ended the school year with. New York State has not updated mask guidance for schools. Camps have amended their guidance, and so camps, we do have some camps going on where masks are not permitted or not required. We do have a number of people wearing masks as an optional component of their wardrobe. We are anticipating guidance for September, and very very hopeful that it will resemble as much normalcy as possible. That guidance will come from the State Education Department and the New York State Department of Health. So last year it came on July 17th-ish, hoping it comes a couple hours before that this year. Although we've done so much of the planning from last year, I feel like it's a choose-your-own adventure. Pull a little of this, a little of that. We have not had a positive COVID-19 case since April 30th. So we ended, we didn't ask Mr. Farr to do his great charts, but maybe for August we could do a year in review. But that mountain did come back down, which was great. And I could go on for a long time about the remarkable efforts from the staff and faculty, families, and most importantly our kids in what they did to get us through the end of the year. It really felt like a normal celebration at the end of the year in many ways. Speaking of which, if we just communicated with the parents in the class of 2021 today that there is a link on the high school's website that says class of 2021, and we've put all of the links to the live streamed events over the bridge, the celebration of the arts, the award ceremony, commencement, the fourth grade video from 2013 that looked back on their elementary school years. Annie's already crying. And we will have a message from U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer, specifically to Hampton Bays High School. There's a little 3-minute video in there. We added all those links. We will also be uploading hundreds of pictures that Life Touch took and gave to us free for families. So families can download them and then go to Shutterfly or Mint or whatever it is that they want to use and print photos in a way that they want to do that. So it's on the high school website. Some programming is up and running. We have driver's ed, summer school, that whole chart that we've been showing over the last couple of meetings. The only thing that's not running is the Southampton Town Police Youth Academy. That was an enrollment issue. It is running at Remsenburg-Spionk Elementary School, so the 3 or 4 kids who we had who were interested were invited to go there and participate. We will be running a COVID-19 vaccination pod on August 4th, which with Stony Brook Children's Hospital. That is the Pfizer vaccine, so the second dose would be on August 25th, and then 2 weeks after that would put students in the fully vaccinated status before returning to school. So families who want to participate can do that for those who have just recently turned 12 or those who are at that time interested in getting a vaccine for their kids. That'll be held at Hampton Bays Middle School. That's like just a thing, you flip lights now and everybody knows what to do for a vaccine pod. If you turn your attention to the PowerPoint presentation, we've been talking about this for a few months now, but our administrative team worked with our buildings and faculty members and department chairs and the Board of Education. You have been engaged in some of these conversations along the way about how to spend these one-time funds that the U.S. Congress had put in their stimulus package. So the stimulus package that was focused on public health and the economy also had key components for schools. So over the course of the 2 programs, I'm going to call them CRISA and ARPA. CRISA is the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act that was passed right before the new year in December, and then the American Rescue Plan Act was passed in March of 2021. Each of those had components that provided funding to the Elementary and Secondary Schools Act, which is a federal act dating back to 1965 in America that just keeps getting updated, that authorizes public schools or the mechanism for how the federal government can be involved in public schools. So in December, CRISA was signed into law. This allocated $81.9 billion to an educational stabilization fund to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the pandemic. It includes an allotment directly from the federal government to districts, and then an allotment to the State Education Department, which then passes through districts using existing formulas like the Title I formula. So the money wasn't just like we like Lars and Larry and the Board of Education more than another district. Here's your amount. It's all formula driven. Hampton Bay's allotment for CRISA was $1.9 million. Those funds must be used by September 30th of 2023. Later on in March, the American Rescue Plan Act was passed and signed into law. This was a $1.9 trillion package, not just for schools, but $1.1 trillion intended to combat the effects of COVID-19. The funds helped school districts safely reopen and stay open and address any impacts on facilities and students that were felt as a result of the pandemic. The funds are intended to supplement, meaning additional, not to supplant, meaning avoiding recurring expenses and not using this money to reduce the tax levy in local communities. So that was an express component of the law. We were able to achieve that through the through the annual budget and the foundation aid advocacy that you did to bring a 0% tax levy increase. Hampton Bay's allotment for ARPA is $1.8, almost $1.9 million. 20% of that needs to be used for learning recovery, and then there's a whole list of things that up to 80% allowable for other uses. The proposal that I'm going to go through now, and we're going to put this on our website, and it's going to then have a Google form for anybody who wants to provide comment. We will have a public comment period that we will consider and use to inform the rest of the plan. We'll consider all comments that are submitted. That'll be open today tonight for 2 weeks, and then it'll close, and then you'll have the opportunity to review any commentary there. The federal stimulus presentation over the next several slides will also be posted on our website. Included in these two pieces of legislation are really 9 goals that are allowable expenditures that are permitted by law with these two programs. Summer learning, after-school programs, addressing the academic, social, emotional needs of kids, particularly at-risk kids, so those from low-income communities, children with disabilities, English language learners, racial and ethnic minorities, those students who are in homelessness situations, foster care youth, providing mental health services and support, repairing and improving facilities, so repairs, upgrades, renovations to facilities, to HVAC systems, to air quality systems, preparing for activities during long-term closures, getting us in a ready position in case we ever have to have a long-term closure again, providing for educational technology, and then the last 2 are public health protocols from all that we've learned with our pandemic experience, including those sinks that you see over there, hand washing stations, temperature screenings, nursing staff, contact tracing, all of the costs that are associated with that. So the next several slides bring you to, I'll start with the end first, $3.849 million in federal funding that's available for us. Use it or lose it. Use it and lose it, meaning it's not going to recur. This happened in 2008 with the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, ARA. That money was granted to school districts. Larry had to spend it with then Superintendent Joanne Lowenthal. Once it was spent, it was gone. If you didn't spend it, it was going to be gone anyway. So we have the great opportunity to invest in a number of things here that give a little bit of something to every program, every building, and really, I believe, is the result of some real diverse thinking. I'm going to go pretty quickly through because the descriptions there's a description in these proposed items. But the first 2 you'll see include investments in outdoor learning. So 2 outdoor classrooms, pergola-type classrooms at the elementary and the middle school. Here on the high school campus, we have a number of courtyards that just need some renovation and rehab. Some of them have rotting wood from their original 1971 building. They just need to be rehabbed. When they're done carefully and smartly, they can be great spaces for outdoor learning. We saw that was a great thing during the pandemic. A pretty significant investment in indoor air quality, air conditioning and heating upgrades in classrooms. That's air conditioning in classrooms. A $600,000 investment that would include 32 classrooms. That's the elementary and high school campuses because the middle school is already fully air conditioned from the 2008 project. 32 classrooms is a big chunk, because as we've been doing little pieces along the way, we have been adding HVAC, we've been adding air conditioning to spaces. So that gets us well on our way to doing a little bit each year. Providing for academic slide or gaps from the challenges of the pandemic, and then also just providing a support for students. We learned what we could do virtually. So the provision of $300,000 over the next 3 years to provide evening virtual office hours for students. So it's 7 o'clock at night. The math is beyond mom and dad. The social studies hadn't been thought about by grandma since for 40 years, and the question is stumping everybody. This would be an opportunity for a student to go on to a Google Meet, either visually or typing in a chat, taking a screenshot of a question that a student's having a problem with, and students can get help every single night in an evening office hour setting. So addressing that academics piece. Upgrading, replacing the marquee. Out here, the original brickwork, the brickwork would stay, but providing a little bit of a lit back to the sign. Not a digital sign like you see elsewhere, particularly in the western part. You see it as you head into Southampton at some of the shops there. A few years ago when we were finishing in the middle school project, Larry and I visited a number of community organizations, Civic, the Beautification, the library, and the Historical Society we had conversations with. And the very consistent message we got was that a digital sign was inconsistent with the East End feel that the community wanted. We totally respect that. With beautiful sign at the middle school, custodians get an opportunity to get a breather, some fresh air when we change that marquee board. So it would be similar to that with a gentle backlit to it. Playground enhancements at the elementary school, including a sensory space for students. That's thanks to our special ed department and our music department really thinking creatively about how to use that space by the playground, enhancing that a bit. We do have a large enrollment down there, and that playground doesn't fit everybody, so adding onto it in a safe way. Summer school enhancements, additional courses that are not just remediation but enrichment. We have kids out in garden. They're going to begin composting soon. We're getting them in there as we have music programming, athletic camps. It's a busy place here in the summer, so just enhancing that program as well. And then garden improvements to rehabilitate the infrastructure of the garden. It exists. We did it with Mrs. Moran and Mrs. Leppern and then Mr. Foster. And we have, it's time to revisit that now, and we have the funding source to do that. So move on to the second slide. Converting a teacher assistant position half-time, keeping it a half-time teacher assistant position, a half-time literacy teacher, help with reading remediation, particularly in grades 5 and 6 for students. Creating an engineering program to include drafting and principles of engineering at the high school in years 2 and 3. So that is a more sustainable type position, but with our anticipated enrollment decline and anticipated retirements, it wouldn't necessarily be an added position in the out years when this grant closes. Addition of a school social worker to assist with students already in and transitioning to Hampton-based high school. We saw mental health challenges and needs as a considerable concern of ours prior to the pandemic. We only hit the accelerator with many kids who are in very challenging situations and coming out of that. So social work programming is vital to what we want to do. Number of appliance and educational technology upgrades for our life skills academies and special education department. The completion of our one-to-one Chromebook initiative. So when we began with the closure in March of 2020, it was real scattershot. Get devices as quickly as we could into kids' hands because they were home. And Mr. Ferraro and Mr. Godfrey and the tech team have done a remarkable job in plugging every hole they can with Chromebooks, with Wi-Fi hotspots that were out to families, and using every source of funding that was available to us outside of the school district to do that. This investment in Chromebooks would bring us to a system where every year only one grade level of Chromebooks falls off of end of life or end of service for our tech team, and becomes a very manageable expense moving forward. So it was great work by that department in doing Chromebooks, document cameras, and as we move on to the third slide, building out the K-5 literacy program that Mr. Carlson's team has been really investing in. The Fontes and Pinnell classroom, Annie's Ice Perk Up as an early literacy kindergarten teacher, all of the components of that. We really started with the literacy reading piece, and the add-on that our teachers are clamoring for right now is the writing component. So that kind of finishes that out. And then hand in hand with that is still providing for the instructional coach piece, our internal professional developer, to really do this well, to get us back to a strong writing program that goes with the F&P classroom. That instructional coach position will fade out over time, and then it becomes just onboarding the new teachers. But this is a major shift. We want to do it right. It's a lot of money to invest in a new reading and writing series. We want to make sure that we have the return on investment. A good investment in academic intervention services and academic acceleration support with transportation over the next 2 years. So after-school programming is only good if a child can get home after school, right? So a parent that can pick up their son or daughter, great, but those who can't, they're locked out. They got to go home on the bus. So for building in the transportation costs is key here to any gaps that kids are experiencing coming out of this year and a half. We'll be able to support them for 2 or 3 years so these numbers are 3-year projections. It's not every year we're spending this amount of money. It's over 3 years. We'll be able to provide support for kids in after-school settings and then have late buses for them. Okay. The same is true with our credit recovery program, which is a springtime experience that we just started this year, where kids could recover their credit, so to speak, remediate any gaps. It's not a makeup work session, so the teachers actually created new work for them to do if they were struggling or failing from earlier in the year, and it was a summer school mitigation. So the carrot was no summer school if you do this after school for 3 months, and kids really jumped at the opportunity. We brought our high school summer school numbers down. So there was a good toe in the water. We want to keep that going for the next couple of years. And then a number of curriculum materials, replacing sound field systems. Those are for the kids with auditory processing disorders, and microphones that help you hear more clearly and articulate in the classroom. Teachers wear them around their necks. 22 of them are at end of life, so it's an opportunity to use this grant funding to support that. And so bringing us to a close on slide 5, providing some tech upgrades for our leadership team who are often remote and out in the buildings and out in different spaces, going from Chromebooks to Surface Pros for them. A program we did this a few years ago with Mrs. Sullivan, Spanish language for teachers and staff. So we had our own Spanish language teachers teaching before school and after school to faculty and staff who wanted to learn basic Spanish if they didn't already have that. It's a way to communicate with parents, a way to communicate with our newcomers to the school who don't necessarily have a grasp of the language yet. So to provide for that where teachers can come in early, stay late, evening classes, Saturday sessions. There's actually a curriculum for this. It's not Hampton-based developed, but it's Spanish for teachers. And the secretaries, custodian, everybody would be welcome to participate in that. But just as another way to make sure the connection between home and school is strong for every single one of our families. So enhancements to the theater program, and then the creation of a student bank, a longtime goal of Scrooge McDuck over there, Mr. Luce, an opportunity to teach our kids another level of financial literacy that isn't necessarily taught in freshman seminar or college accounting or home and careers class, but to give kids the opportunity to have a bank account that is run and managed by the school in partnership with hopefully a local bank, that parents and kids can use their bank accounts to invest or save for school-based expenses, so that when you enter ninth grade, you have a landscape of the things that you might want to purchase: a class ring, a yearbook, your senior class shirt, the senior class trip. You have a roadmap, because many of our kids work, and they work to support their household. So if they know that they can put $10 away for their senior trip every week, starting freshman year, then it's paid for by the time that deposit's due. They're done. It's given them that freedom. It's given them that dignity that they earned it, they saved it. But sometimes it's too late when we tell a child in September that it's due in October. You know, the best case scenario, families are in a position to do that. Worst case scenario, it's a non-starter for a number of our kids. We want to right that ship and address it at the beginning of the pipeline. Create a student bank. It'd be super cool and helpful for kids. Then when they graduate, they have the bank account, and they've had a bank account, they've managed it, and they take it on with them, and hopefully we're graduating kids who are more financially literate than the national statistics of kids getting to college or being 18 and opening 5 credit cards, right? So, okay, next step. So that leaves us $17 to spare. And a lot of these lines are, every single one of these lines for the most part is an estimate. They're not guesstimates, they are estimates based on past expenditures and what the market is charging for these type of costs. This can change over the next 3 years. So we may find that something that we thought is a priority on July 6th is a priority next July 6th. And so that's the beauty of the grant with the State Education Department. You just put in an amendment application and you amend and say, we're not going to spend the money on this, we're going to spend the money on that. So the public comment period is a great thing, because we can hear that feedback and then incorporate it or not, or incorporate it now or later. So that's, so that gets us to 3.849341 with $17 to spare. But that number will change as dollars are drilled down to what it actually costs. Some might be more, some might be less. Thankfully, we have Larry in the business office who will manage this very carefully. Next steps, the draft plan. This is the plan that will be posted on the district website, and that open comment period will be open through July 20th. The board will adopt this plan, so we do need to add a resolution tonight to adopt the federal spending plan. It can be as simple as that. And then if there are any substantive adjustments that should be made, they can be made on the August 17th Board of Education meeting. Again, this plan is fluid. It'll be reevaluated each school year and adjusted as we go. So any questions from the board or comments on this plan?
Thank you.
Looks good. Let's get going.
All right, Larry, did I leave anything out? Okay, that is it for my report tonight. Happy summer.
Thank you. Ooh, here comes the rain. Larry, you have anything?
Just a couple things. First of all, to kind of piggyback on what Lois was saying about the student bank account, one of the new programs we have enhanced this summer is student summer jobs. We always had 1 or 2 kids who work for the school during the summer. This year, thanks to some better advertising, some help from Morgan Brown and the high school council and all this, we got the word out to a lot of students, probably close to 15 interviewed for jobs, and we currently have 8 students working in the school district over the summer.
Nice.
Maintenance and grounds, custodial work, 1 in the cafeteria, and 1 working with our technology. So good group of young men and women. They handed out the first paychecks last Friday to them, and I asked them this morning as I saw them, how'd you spend your money? And they said, oh, I saved it all. I haven't even cashed a check. Oh, okay, great. So that goes right back to Mr. Clemenson's bank idea, and it's a great way to put your money away. enhanced, I won't say it's new, it's enhanced. We've tried for the last couple of years to have a summer mills program. Last year we did, but everything was delivered and so on. But in prior years, we couldn't get it off the ground. There wasn't interest, it just didn't work. This summer, thanks to the federal stimulus for meals, all children, any child 18 or younger, is able to get a meal at the school, breakfast or lunch. We're seeing more participation, we're seeing a little more excitement. Today, 44 students out of our first day of summer school came up for breakfast. So if a child is in summer school, by all means, they can get free breakfast and lunch. If a child is home, that is 18 or younger, and the parent would like to make arrangements with us, they can either call Dave O'Connor at the main office, or they can email us at hbcafeteria@hbschools.us. And we'll make arrangements. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Okay, with that, we will do a consent agenda from 4A to 4D. I need a motion.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Do a consent agenda from 5A.
5G.
What's that?
5G.
G.
Yep, 5G. Okay, consent from 5A to 5G. I need a motion, please. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thanks. No, we don't have anything to read right now, though. We've already done that. I need a motion for 6A.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment, persons may address the Board of Education on any matters of interest or concern. The board president will recognize all speakers. Time limits may be imposed based upon agenda needs, but again, I think we're okay there tonight.
We just need a motion for the federal stimulus plan.
Oh, so we get, okay. All right, so let me have a motion on the public comment first.
Motion?
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then we need a motion for the federal stimulus program.
Motion?
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want to call that, what do you want to mark it as? 7A?
Yeah, it could be
7B?
under Board of
7B?
Education, yeah.
Okay, so we'll put that as 6B.
Yeah.
Yep. And with that, if there's no more questions, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Stay dry. Sounds like it's raining.
Eric's gone longer than I thought. I think my window's through.